Welcome. It's so nice to see all of you. Hello. Before we begin, we'll do a little bit of singing. It's wonderful to have you with us. Thought we would start actually with Zamru Ladonai Bechinor. May we offer our praise to God on this Shabbat evening with all of our instruments. Start with a melody that is perhaps familiar to some of you. Please sing along if you know it. Zamru Ladonai.
Is that it? Is he heard it start?
Zamru Ladonai Bechino. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor Becho Zimra.
I want to go to here.
Clapping your hands, stomping your feet. Please join with us. you the truth, I wanted to sing that one because it's on the same page in our prayer book. We haven't sung it in quite a while, and I noticed that song. It was a favorite from when we were singing at camp and singing in youth group. Shall we continue with perhaps a nigun, an opportunity for us to just all express the longing that we feel for this community, for one another, for Shabbat. Shabbat shalom to all of you. Let's wish one another a Shabbat Shalom with one other melody before we begin. It's so wonderful to see all your voices, especially see all your faces, especially when you join your voices. Even if I can't hear you, I can see your mouths moving, whether you're here on Zoom with us or on Facebook. Hope you'll join with us. Yalla, la, 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 yalla, la, la. Wonderful to share this moment not only with all of you, but with our wonderful clergy team. And Rabbi Jordana is with us, as well as Cantor Aviva and Rabbi Roxanne. Rabbi Jordana, though, especially to you, I'd like to say Shabbat Shalom and welcome to you and your family.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It always is such a joy, such a pleasure to be able to spend this time with you. And I am not sure about you, but I am definitely feeling in need of Shabbat this week. Anyone else? Seeing a lot, seeing a lot of hands and some heads nodding. So on the one hand, this has been an extremely rewarding week and uplifting week for us. I've been privileged enough to spend many hours with my colleagues recording things for these High Holy Days. We were even out at Camp Gucci this morning, and it was so inspiring and so wonderful to really be so deeply immersed in these High Holy Days. But on the other hand, there is a lot of pain and heaviness in this week. There are huge parts of the West Coast that are on fire right now. Friends of mine keep posting stats about their evacuation levels and keep posting pictures of the sky that they can barely see anything because there's so much ash and smoke in the air. At the same time, the coronavirus keeps wreaking havoc, and today is the 19th anniversary of 9/11. So there is a lot of pain and heaviness in this world this week. But on the other hand, we are just 1 week away from Erev Rosh Hashanah, and this is a time that is filled with optimism and hope and possibility for the year ahead. I was reminded of that in a funny way this week when I got an email from a clothing store. I don't know about you guys, but I am inundated all the time with all these different stores trying to sell me things. Anyone else? Just constant stream in my email. But a particular email caught my eye, and the subject line of this email said, "Every second counts." And it was written in all caps and bolded, so you couldn't miss this message. I did not open this particular email, but I'm assuming it was telling me about a sale that was about to end. So my first thought about this email was, gosh, that is so much pressure from my clothing store. I don't know that I want this pressure from an institution that is trying to sell me clothes. But my second thought is how incredibly timely this message was. Did they know that we were still writing our High Holy Day sermons? And how lovely to have this reminder. Because so much of what we think about and reflect on during the High Holy Days is that time is precious. And yes, we do want to make every second count. So as we enter this last week of the Jewish year, I hope that we are able to make our time count, spending it doing things that we enjoy and being connected with our community. So let's make our seconds count now as we begin our Shabbat service together. It gives me great pleasure to invite Lonnie, Bob, and Dave Weiss back to light the Shabbat candles. Tomorrow morning, David is going to be called to the Torah for his bar mitzvah, and such a joy that he will be back at IHC for this really fabulous, wonderful, and joyous occasion.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Did you unmute us?
We are unmuted, right? Yes, we are unmuted.
That's important.
All right. So we're going
Shabbat
to
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, and we're going to light the candles, and David's going to recite the prayer. Ready? So, nope, not that time. We didn't practice this part. Please, God. There we go.
And God spoke.
And God spoke and gave us light.
There was light.
There we go. Okay, go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Amen. So beautiful to see you and to hear you, David. You know that I always mention what a pleasure it is to hear your lovely voice. And I understand you are also going to lead us in the Kiddush this evening. So everyone, if you could get your Kiddush ready, David is going to lead us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho ve'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim Kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim Hashabbat kodecha be'ahava uvratzon kinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mechadesh Hashabbat. Amen.
Amen. Amen. David, I hope you can feel not just your parents beaming with pride, but look at our smiles. We are so incredibly proud of you, and what a gift you are giving us in that we are able to officiate your bar mitzvah on the Bima tomorrow. We do invite everyone to tune in via live stream. So at 10:30 in the morning, if you think he chants a beautiful Kiddush, wait until you hear him chant Torah. So please do join us tomorrow morning at 10:30 when David will be called to the Torah, and you can find that information on our website. You'll be able to find the stream. We turn now to Kabbalat Shabbat, where we prepare ourselves for prayer. We warm up our voices. We warm up our hearts. There are so many reasons to celebrate from week to week. So let us dig deep and find them now. Lecha Dodi, please join me. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'miyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Hitoreri, Kiva ore kumi hori, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alaich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. We turn now to sing Shalom Aleichem, which of course welcomes and acknowledges the angels into our midst on this Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
May those ministering angels that guide us on our way this evening, may they enter in peace, may they sit with us in peace and add peace to our experience, And when they leave, may they exit and bring that peace into the world. That is a metaphor, I believe, for the people that we see in the squares around us. We know that we can be those ministering angels for one another. That's the connection we try to feel on Shabbat. As we turn our thoughts towards the Shema, the central statement of faith in our service, I'd like to share a reading with you that is actually from our High Holy Day prayer book, one that unfortunately we won't get to share with each other this time around, but I wanted to share it with you here. Judaism begins with this commandment, "Hear, O Israel." But what does it really mean to hear? The person who attends a concert, but who thinks about other things, hears but does not really hear. The person who walks surrounded by the songs of birds, but thinks only of what will be for dinner, hears but does not really hear. The one who listens to the words of a friend or a child and does not catch the note of urgency, notice me, help me, care about me, hears but does not really hear. The one who listens to the news and thinks only of how it will affect business, hears but does not really hear. People who shut out the sound of their own conscience and believe that they have done enough already, hear but do not really hear. On this holy day, O God, sharpen our ability to hear. May we hear the music of the world and the cries of children and the needs of our families. May we hear the call for help of the lonely soul and the sound of a breaking heart. May we hear the words of our friends and also their unspoken pleas and dreams. May we hear within ourselves the yearnings that are struggling for expression. May we hear you, O God. May we all hear you. For only if we hear you do we have the right to hope that you will hear us. Shema Yisrael Adonai unto our children. Speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. Bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be a symbol between your eyes. Write them on the doorpost of your house and upon your gates, and upon your gates. Teach them faithfully unto our children. Speak of them when
As we prepare to say the Mi Hamolcha, I'm going to share with you a reading from Mishkan Tefillah. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land. The winding the way to the promised land passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. So let us continue by metaphorically joining hands and marching together as we sing together the Mi Hamolcha.
Yai bye bye bim bim bum, ya bye 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 bim bum, yai bye bye bim bim bum, ya bye 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 bim bum, ay 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 ay, ya bye 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 bim bum, ay 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 ay, ya bye 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 bim bum, mi chamocha baili Madonai, mi kamocha nehedar bakodesh. Noratilot o sefele, noratilot o sefele. Yai bye bye bim bim bum, ya bye bye bim bum, yai bye bye bim bim bum, ya bye bye bim bum. Ay 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 ay, ya bye bye bim bum. Ay 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 ay, ya bye bye bim bum. I can feel the warmth in the way you are clapping and moving your lips, and I long for a day when I can hear your voices join with mine. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shomeru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam, berit olam, berit olam. Beini uven bnei Israel, oti leolam. Beini uven bnei Israel, oti leolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash.
Thank you for that beautiful melody of Vishamru. So during this time of year, I have difficulty finding silence. For me, this has little to do with the noise around me and much more to do with the inner workings of my mind. I find myself making list after list of things to do. I even sometimes make myself lists of the list that I make. And even though I really enjoy the chaos of this time of year, I also enjoy when I can get a few moments just for my mind to rest and relax and quiet itself. So hopefully this Shabbat, there will be an opportunity for all of us to take a deep breath, to relax, and enjoy a few moments of inner peace. I invite you now to take a few moments of personal reflection to think about what settles your mind and how you hope to bring these experiences into the new year.
Oh, say shalom, be brahmav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'yimeru amen ve'yimeru amen ve'yimeru amen ve'yimeru amen.
Oseh Shalom Yimramah, we pray for peace. We pray for so much more than that, especially in this moment when we are aware of all of the many struggles that are very present of mind for many of us that Rabbi Jordana mentioned at the beginning of our service. Peace is a way for us to also pray for strength. And it is our custom, of course, to pray for peace, especially for those who are ill, who are recovering from illness, who are struggling to find that strength within, who are in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit. And while we know we cannot always affect that healing, we know that we can offer the prayers of our hearts, which might build up strength in theirs. Before we join together in a song to remind us of this strength we'd hope to give one another, I would invite you to go into the chat, and if you'd like to share the names of your loved ones, your family, your friends, or perhaps even yourselves, and we can keep you and all of them before our eyes as we sing together. As we think about Misha Berach, we also remember to offer in our prayers a prayer for Catherine Soskin, who I saw here on the screen. Prayers to you, Catherine. To Esther Fishman, to Janet Strasberg and Stasia Renfro's mother, to Rabbi Ben Kamen, to Nancy Bonham, Sonia Cantor's sister, to Lenny Rubenstein, who is recovering from surgery. We also want to make sure to mention those who have been included in our chat, Jamie Hecker, Jillian Scott, Judy D. Rossman, Nancy Cushman, Sonia Hess, Glenn Letz, Naomi Kaufman, Sari Oxman, Dennis Gelbart, Javi Lev Goldstein, Jeff Golden, Jeffrey Silverman, Maxine Cohen, Joanne Hamill, Linda Goodman, Shelley Sachs, Rich Frankel, Nicole Keith, Wendy Barish, Scott Bauer, Risa Friedman, Debbie Manica, Gary Harrell, Rosemary Burkett. We include all of them in our prayers as we turn to these words of healing. We sing simply, those who sow in tears, we pray will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Will reap in joy.
Believe it or not, I do not have a very good memory. I remember bits and pieces of experiences throughout my life, but the details often get lost in the shuffle that is my mom brain. Though I have many spotty memories of my years growing up, there is one experience that I will never forget. The weekly torture that was synagogue. It was awful. Every week, my parents would make us get all dressed up in incredibly uncomfortable clothing, only to go shake hands with strangers and sit through what felt like an endless stream of Hebrew. I would sit in the hard chairs, running my fingers up and down the plaques on the back of the pews, which listed the names of people who undoubtedly enjoyed their Judaism more than I did at that time. I would put my finger on page 28 and keep it there. Why? Because that is where the Kiddush was. That way, I knew how much longer we had to go before my siblings and I could sneak sugar cubes from the oneg table. I didn't grow up with Jewish camp or Jewish youth group. There was no cool religious school program where we all sang together, but rather a dreaded experience after regular school on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where a bus would take me and the other lucky kids to school. After school, 2 more hours of school. In my parents' defense, it was all we knew, it was all we could afford, and it was all that was available to us as B'nai Israel, Indian Jews living in a very Ashkenazi, conservadox town in Canada in the 1980s. Perhaps it is no surprise then that my college years were not filled with Hillel Shabbat dinners and camp friends. On Shabbat, I worked late at the mall. And on Saturdays and Sundays, I was paid to sing at a church. Yes, you heard that correctly. I was completing a degree in classical vocal performance and was already thoroughly versed in Bach's motets, Mozart's masses, and Handel's fugues. Singing at a church was an easy and fulfilling gig for me, and I got to do what I love most, make beautiful music. Reflecting on the synagogue experiences of my childhood this week has made me realize that perhaps it really was beshert, or meant to be, that a small Reform temple was hiring a choral conductor way back in 2007. The rabbi and I met, and we agreed to work together through the High Holy Days. Up to this point, the only High Holy Day experience I had ever had took place in the basement of an apartment building, which was rented out by a small group of Sephardi families in town. No plaques on the back of pews, no page 28, that was for Shabbat. For the Chagim, we were in a basement. Nevertheless, I agreed to take on a very active congregational choir, and I tried not to flinch when the rabbi handed me 4 massive binders of music. I had never heard any of it. None. Not even the the Janowski Avinu Malkeinu. Perhaps that is why I was so taken with the experience of the Chagim that year, and ultimately fell in love with Reform Judaism. I loved the grandeur of the experience, the white robes, the eloquently worded translations of the texts, but most of all, I loved the music. It was clean, it was organized, and aesthetically pleasing in every way. It was carefully crafted by knowledgeable, highly educated composers. It was perfect. For the very first time in my life, the power of Jewish music moved me. I had always loved Bach, and I still weep when I hear Bach's St. Matthew Passion, but this was different. This allowed me to pray through the text and the music. In hindsight, I realized that my awe-filled experience all those years ago is exactly what the greatest composers of Jewish music had hoped for when they composed their masterpieces. By successfully marrying the Hebrew text to the music, composers like Max Janowski, Louis Lewandowski, and Max Helfman, to name just a few, transport us from Chol to Kadosh, from regular to holy. But rather than tell you about it, I would like for you to listen for yourself. I've prepared 2 pieces for us to analyze together this evening, so I hope you will indulge me as we go on this journey. It was in 1840 that Louis Lewandowski was appointed the choir master of the Berlin Synagogue. 26 years later, he was promoted to Royal Musical Director, during which he composed some of his most famous melodies. His haunting melody for Unatana Tokef is one which has been used by synagogues around the world every year since its debut. Though originally scored for full choir, Lewandowski's melody easily stands alone as a solo piece. As you listen to the recording, see if you can hear the fear and hesitation in the vocal line, as if to beg God for one more year of life on this earth. See if you can hear the text play out in the melodic line. The translation reads, "We lend power to the holiness of this day, for it is tremendous and awe-filled, and on it your kingship will be exalted, your throne will be established in loving kindness, and you will sit on that throne in truth." In order to achieve this musically, Lewandowski writes an ascending line with a basic crescendo, only to bring it back down again when describing loving kindness. While the seemingly square duple meter could lend itself to a straightforward interpretation, the choral writing demands more, drawing the listener in by playing on the dichotomy of confidence and fear. I often think of this piece as one might think of a tightrope walker. You must be brave enough to speak to God in this way, but the weight of the insecurity that goes with that is insurmountable. This is Lewandowski's Unetana Tokef. Long before Barbara Streisand recorded it, Max Janowski's rendition of Avinu Malkeinu was ringing throughout synagogue sanctuaries. Born in Berlin in 1912, Janowski's life led him to America in 1937, where he would later serve in the U.S. Navy throughout World War II. It is my opinion that the Jewish struggle of the 1930s in Berlin can be heard in all of his musical writing. The fear and anxiety that goes with his Jewish identity, coupled with his hopeful longing for a homeland, can be heard in the intentional musical dissonance that always eventually resolves. His choral writing is similar in that it starts rather static, making use of legato unison lines, but ultimately it blossoms into a colorful palette of harmonies. While the translation of Avinu Malkeinu has seen multiple iterations in the Reform movement, the gravitas of the text has never wavered. Our Father, our King, our Master, our Protector, our Parent, our Support, our Safe Place, our Eternal One, Avinu Malkeinu, encompasses them all. As you listen to Janowski's arrangement, see if you can hear the plea inherent in the melodic line. His intentional use of a tenuto or a hold on the words Chamol Aleinu, which translates as have compassion on us, forces the cantor to pause and give the request that is God's compassion a little bit more time than the rest. Similarly, Janowski's ostinato in the bass line of the piano, which is a repeated extended line, creates a heartbeat effect, which he implements throughout the piece. See if you can feel the heartbeat of the High Holy Days as you listen for this musical writing. After all, I would argue that this piece is in fact the musical heartbeat of the Chagim. This is Max Janowski's Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu
technical glitches. That was my goal, actually, to make sure that now you need to hear the rest of it. So you need to come to the High Holy Day services, right? I can't give it all away in this moment. We were just getting to the good part, but that's okay. You will hear it. You will hear it again, and you will tune in to our services. But most importantly, I sincerely hope that you heard the heartbeat in the accompaniment. And I promise you, once you hear it, you will never listen to the piece the same way again. You can hear the struggle that Janowski and his family endured in Berlin, and you can hear the pain that he pours into this piece as he pleads for God to take compassion on God's people. During the course of the last month, we have spent each Shabbat speaking and teaching about this month of Elul. Well, my friends, it is time. We have arrived at the season of the High Holy Days, and we'll begin with Slichot tomorrow night. You have heard each of my incredible colleagues speak about opening our hearts and minds to a new and different experience. It is my hope that you will also choose to open each of your senses to hearing and feeling the entire experience differently. Read through the translations. Think about the intention of the liturgy and the prayer. Take a moment and close your eyes. What is the composer trying to communicate in this moment? Perhaps it will move you to connect with yourself and with God in a way that you never have before. And maybe, just maybe, you will go from counting pages in a book to being filled with awe, just as I did so many years ago. May each of you experience these High Holy Days in a way that is meaningful and fulfilling, and may you be inscribed in the Book of Life in 5781. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova.
Shabbat Shalom, Cantor Aviva, thank you so much. This is our opportunity to share some of the warmth that you've shared with us back to you. Fantastic information and wonderful music as well. And it is my computer that decided to crash that. It was so emotionally moved by your singing that it just couldn't handle it. In any case, we are very much looking forward to hearing that piece and many others at the High Holy Days. We just want to simply mention in this moment to all of you that tomorrow night is our opportunity to really enter the High Holy Day period. Although I, for one, have felt so moved by my colleagues' sermons each week of the month of Elul, and I feel ready, quite honestly. It may also be that we've been filming much of the high holidays in recent days, but tomorrow night is the service called Slichot, which means prayers of forgiveness, but it sets the tone for the holidays that are following. At 8 o'clock in the evening, we will begin that service live. We have a bit that is pre-recorded, and then we are going to be joined by a truly fantastic musical group called Nefesh Mountain. Some of you may have been familiar already with their work, but if not, I assure you, you are in for a beautiful treat. So I hope that you'll join us tomorrow night. And then please know that we have lots of musical guests and surprises for you during the holidays. So we hope that you'll find all of that information on our website and lots of other programs that are happening, including some opportunities to see our beautiful religious school in action. It's going to be a really fun opportunity to start the religious school, and it's all online. So please do check us out there. Thank you so much, Cantor Aviva, Rabbi Jordana, Rabbi Roxanne. Thank you so much for all that you do. For Dan Cillian, who is here, and I believe Kendra Steele also, our receptionist, who is managing the service today. Thank you so much for all the work you put into these services. We have an opportunity here at the end of our service to remember those who we are missing most in this moment, and especially on this day, the anniversary of the attacks on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and our country, the heart of our country. I thought it would be appropriate for us to remember all of them, all of the victims of those attacks, and specifically to share with you this poem, abbreviated poem by Bob Hickok, who entitled this poem of remembrance, Full Flight. I'm in a plane that will not be flown into a building. And the woman 2 seats up and to the right resembles one of the widows I saw on TV after the towers came down. We are 18,000 feet over America. People are typing at their laps, blowing across the fog of coffee, sleeping with their heads on the windows, on the pattern of green fields and brown fields, streams and gas stations and swimming pools, blue dots of aquamarine that suggest we've domesticated this mirage. The moments the planes had stopped, when we were afraid of the sky, there was a pause. When we could have been perfectly American, we could have spent infinity dollars and thrown 1 million bodies at finding those few, lasering our revenge. But we've lived in the sky again for some years, and today we are getting even with the sand, with the map, with oil, with ourselves. I'm listening to the guys behind me on the plane. There's a problem with an inventory control system. Some switches are being counted twice. Switches for what, I don't know. Switches of humor, of faith. But the men are musical in their jargon, both likely born in New Delhi and probably Americans now, which is what the flesh of our country has been, a grafted pulse, an inventory of the world. And just as this idea of embrace moves chemically into my blood and I'm warmed as if I've just taken a drink, a voice announces we've begun our descent, and then I sense the falling. Lessons learned perhaps from our remembrance of 9/11 for these 19 years. We have the opportunity to remember our own loved ones as well. And if you are here specifically remembering a loved one, please feel free to share their names in our chat and we'll mention them aloud. On this Shabbat, we remember Dorothy Strader, who was taken from us, whose funeral was in the last week, and Natalie Reed, whose family is in the period of Shloshim, who was taken from us during the past month. We also remember those whose yahrzeits occur this week: Christopher Arnold, Sylvia Byman, Harold Bergheim, George Clayman, Jack Cohen, Harry Cooler Sr., Morton Cooper, Gloria Jeremiah, Richard Dorson, William Dumas, Mary Ephraimson Super, Ben Fallender, Irene Fisher, Herman Foster, Albert Frankel, Gregory Goebel, Ida Goldberg, Arnold Gottfried, Gertrude Gould, Michael Gray, Max Hackman, Erwin Katz, Clara Kessler, Esther Kuznets, Lottie LaBounty, Ava LaBounty, Rachel Libowitz, Louise Litwack, Ethel Mansbach, Herb Marer, Celia Marmelstein, Jim McCarthy, Jerry Miller, Anna Mirovsky, Ruby Moss, Ralph Newmark, Max Paul, Clara Pasikman, Lawrence Rubin, Roberta Rosenfield, Dorothy Schumann, Florence Searing, Karen Schlensky, Samuel Shore, Jeffrey Siegel, Frida Simon, J. Allen Slivka, Dorothy Spitzberg, Louis Spitzberg, Minnie Tuckman, Marty Weisberger, Fran Weiss, Max Wolfson, and Wendell Zellers Sr. We also remember Terry Cage, Magda Sibo, Al Gross, Darren Strain, Bill and Shirley Anderson, Joel Sherman Morse, Shirley Aronson again, Shirley Aronson, Sig Brenner, Harriet Simon, Larry Shuckman as well. Zichronam Libracha. May all of their memories always bring us blessing. We join together the words of Mourner's Kaddish. V'kadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha brichu. La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom yimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. To this blessing for peace for our people, of course, we add a blessing for peace for all who dwell on earth with the words v'al kol yoshvei tevel, and invite all of us to say once again, Amen. Amen. As always, during the month of Elul, it is such a pleasure to have Patty Freeman Dorson with us, our Ba'alat Tekiyah, the owner of the Tekiyah, the owner of the shofar's calls. Patty, Shabbat Shalom, if you're here.
Shabbat shalom.
Nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that these sounds reverberate for you. It's difficult to do through computer speakers, which is why we are creating an opportunity for us to hear shofar in person during the holidays. Please watch for that. But I hope that we can close our eyes in this moment, anticipating the days ahead, and really take in the shofar's calls. Tekiah. Shavarim Trua. Tekiah Gedola. Mazal Tov, thank you. Shakoach.
Beautiful. Thank you, Patty. And we look forward to much more of that also. And yes, we love your shirt, Patty. Your shirt is just reminding everyone to vote. We always get so much joy from seeing all of your beautiful faces. Please do join us. There are so many ways to join us this weekend. And we'd like to close this evening with just Shabbat Shalom. Please join me. Shabbat Shalom, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom from our family to yours, and I turn it over now to Rabbi Jordana's family. Hi, Eleanor. Hi, Julian. Are you going to lead us in the Motzi?
We will, but first we just want to say one more time, we're so excited about Slihot tomorrow night and Nefesh Mountain. And I was also wearing a shirt earlier today reminding everyone to vote. So I guess Patty and I are on the same page.
And I don't think I got a chance to jump in and say Mazal Tov to David Weisbach and his family. Mazal Tov to you. We look forward to celebrating with you in the morning as well. If you have a challah, let's find him. Shabbat Shalom, turn our readers.
Motzi lehem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices join in happy chorus as our prayer is humbly said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Motzi lehem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shana Tova. Shabbat Shalom.
We will go ahead and unmute everyone so that we can wish one another a Shabbat Shalom. We look forward to seeing you at some point over the weekend.
Hi, Ruthie.
Yes.
We miss you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Beautiful service.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Granny.
Mommy a
Shabbat
kiss.
Shalom, Matt.
Yeah.
Mike.
Diane.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Hi, Kelly. Hi, Phyllis.
Jeff.
Thank
Shalom. Happy
Yeah.
Shalom, everyone.
Grandchildren.
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Jennifer.
Come on.
Shabbat Shalom. Bye. Everybody. Thank you. Hey, Blair.
Am I up there yet? There's Blair. Shabbat Shalom, Matt.
What?
Shabbat Shalom, Chet.
Shabbat Shalom.
Rabbi Brett, truly a heart-touching service. Truly.
Shabbat
Wonderful.
Shalom, Catherine. It's nice to see you all the way up in Mexico. So glad
Thank
you're
you.
joining us. And we love your art behind you there as well.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much to everyone for joining us. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.